Hello, the weekend is over and we will look back one more time on the events as they occurred this weekend. Italy and Spain picked their songs for Kiev and things surely heated up in Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Sweden, Hungary and Ukraine. Let's start with the Sanremo Festival in Italy. Bloody Fun, the winning song of Francesco Gabbani and his dancing gorilla in Occidentalis Karma. The winning song will also be used at the Eurovision Song Contest for Italy, so that will be perhaps a very good result for Italy. Yeah, Scout Around is becoming a bit of a Brendan McCann show, because every week we talk to you, Brendan. But every week...
Well, I'm honoured to be here anyway.
Every week that you follow a show, something happens that we have to talk about, and that was definitely the case in Spain this weekend.
Absolutely. I don't want to say there's a connection between them, but no. It's just a funny coincidence for now.
What happened? What was so particular about the Spanish final?
Well, the main controversy was just the voting in general, but it was also the crowd's reaction to the Basque sort of issue as well. When it came down to the voting, the jury showed definite for two of them out of the three preference towards Manel, but the fans, including the crowd audience, were very Morella supportive, and it just became quite a chaotic ending to the show, and quite sad as well in terms of Manel had been chosen, but then the fans were shouting Morella, and then everyone was crying, and it was quite upsetting to watch, to be honest.
Yeah, and it makes it even more interesting when we see that a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, one of the Spanish jury members already posted a message on Twitter to Manel, stating that he was going to make his song a hymn. He was very enthusiastic about it.
I completely forgot about that when I was watching it, but now looking back at it, you can definitely see that maybe we haven't been told the full story yet to how Manel was selected to begin with.
Yeah,
it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it develops in the next few weeks, if there will be any developments to begin with.
It was, of course, already very interesting when we saw that there was a tie at the end of the evening.
And similar to actually in the complete opposite way to the Roof and Burkett's incident last year, the jury were chosen this time when the public was chosen last time they had the final say. So it definitely seems to show 3 jury members had the choice instead of the public. I don't think it was fair in this occasion.
So we see...
Especially what you said earlier with the jury votes last time.
We now also see with Spain and the last couple of years, we know Spanish people, they are always optimistic about the chances of their country. They are always enthusiastic about the Spanish song, no matter what. But this time, we see also many Spanish people who are already very critical of the choice their country has made.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you understand that?
In terms of, I think the Spanish Eurofans are probably one of the most passionate and outspoken communities within the Eurovision fan sites anyways. But I think Morella, having participated in 2007 and 2009 and been a fan favourite for many years, I think this is probably meant to be her time, and it was just a shame how the whole procedure went, and I do feel genuinely sorry for her.
Is there something in the song and performance of Manel that does make him the right winner in Spain? What things are good about the Spanish
Honestly, I think he could connect with female audiences. I think he's got a nice, cute enough image that he could appeal to young girls and to their mothers and grandmothers. I think he was, in terms of styling as an artist, I think he's not that bad. And he was actually my second favourite listening to the songs.
So there is still a chance for Spain this year, for now.
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. But I think the song itself, the title's horrendous. Do It For Your Lover. I think a whole different song change, I think, would be needed to make it work. Whereas Morella sort of had the whole image to begin with.
Do you think that will happen in Spain? Because that's why I was a bit quiet. I was thinking already, has it ever happened that Spain changed their whole song? I don't believe so in recent years.
I don't believe so. And I've been many times in previous years that we hoped they would. But they seem to be quite proud and happy enough to go with what the choices made on that night. So I don't expect any sort of change for Manel
Thanks, Brandon. Sweden's second show of Melodifestivalen gave us the next two qualifiers for the final. Mariette's A Million Years and Benjamin Ingrosso with Good Loving. We will see them again later in Sweden. Lisa Ajax and Hearts Align will go to Andra Gansen. All three Baltics are also in full swing for Kiev, but they still have a long way to go in their pre-selections. You can find all results and qualifiers on our website, issed.com, especially tonight in our article Monday Night, where you will find all results of the weekend in one overview. A Dal in Hungary closed off their semi-finals on Friday and Saturday. And Stefan Gorkum, chief editor of EC Daily. With that, we now have the final field in Hungary.
Yes, and people in Hungary are speaking of a star-struck field, because even more than in previous years, A Dal is of course a competition with many big names and where all the big artists want to participate. But this year is special because it's the battle between two divas, Totova and Gigi Radic, both very, very big names in the Hungarian music industry, and now both finalists, and the whole setup is almost in the media outlets as well. The story of this final is the two divas fighting against each other, although they're not they're good friends as well, but still they're now battling for one ticket. And then there's also, you would almost forget, András Kalai-Sanders in there, who's also a household name, a former representative of Hungary in Eurovision. So it's a star-struck final. That's what they say in Hungary now.
Yeah, and one would say that with the two divas battling it out, there may be a third dog in there who takes the bone eventually, or not?
It depends. He was struggling going to the final, András Kalai-Sanders. He was not in the top three of the jury vote in the second semifinal. Totova won that semifinal, but he was sent to televoting. And my theory on that is it doesn't necessarily mean that that the jury doesn't like him and that they won't vote for him in the top four for next week. I think it was more of a tactical vote by the jury, because they wanted to push Sabo Adam out. He was a big televote favorite in the first round, and I think the jury thought that the only way to get rid of him was to put him in a televote battle with András Kalai-Sanders, and someone that big could push him out, and he did. So he won the televote, and he's in the final now.
So how does it work in the final? Do we see a similar system like in the semifinals and the heats before this, or will it change things up?
The final of A Dal always works like this. The four jury members again have the first say. They won't vote in between the participants. They vote at the end, and they don't give every participant votes from 1 through 10, but they give only their top four votes. I think 10, 8, 6, 4, if I'm not mistaken. And those points are added, and then you get a top four, the four entries with the most points, and they battle it out in 100% televote. So that's the thing with this system in A Dal. Always from the very beginning till the very end, it's a strange mixture of televote and jury, and those two voters are aligned in a way, and that's what I was just saying as well. The jury votes tactically sometimes, but they sometimes they work very hard to push certain televote favorites out because they're afraid those songs might win and they don't want that. Sometimes they also listen to televoters. We've seen that with By Alex in 2013. It's a big example. He was definitely a televote favorite, not a jury favorite, but his televote scores were so high that the jury eventually, in the grand final, put him in the top four, saying, well, you want this guy, here you have him. So that's also what makes this competition unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen next week.
And when we compare this year to that story about By Alex, we could have the same thing with Soul Wave, perhaps?
Yes, they qualified twice through televoting now, and the same thing could happen there as well. Again, it's an indie band, interesting song. First live performance was not that good. Second was already a bit better. If they do again better next week, and if their televote numbers, I don't know, of course, I'm not working behind the scenes, but if their televote numbers are really, really good, maybe the jury will do the same thing. And then you have another story in which the opposite thing could happen, because it's also true that televoters sometimes listen to the juries. In the end, televoters in the top four have always voted from those four songs for the same song that the jury put on number one. always except for by Alex. So if the jury now chooses a certain song and pushes it forward and say, okay, like for example Gina Kanisha, who won the jury vote last week with the semifinals, but was not popular with televoters, if the jury put her forward and say, okay, we all give you our 10 points and this is the song that you have to vote for, I can't guarantee that Hungarian televoters won't listen to them. So it's a very open final.
Yeah, it's a very open field, but still in the Hungarian media, you have lived there for a couple of years, so you follow that. Who's the big favorite beforehand?
A big favorite, Gigi Radic. And as I said, everyone is talking about a battle between the two divas. So Gigi and Totova, that would be the story of this final. But I'm very excited for it because I feel like almost anything can happen.
We'll see how that goes. You will be blogging the final, I believe, next Saturday.
Yes, I will be there. So everyone who wants to read and follow that final with live commentary, tune into ESC Daily. I will be there. I can even translate some jury comments for you and follow it.
Thank you, Steve. Ukraine also continued their search for the successor of Jamala. 8 new acts and only 2 qualified for the next phase in Ukraine, Rozhden and Ilaria. Next week, Ukraine will have their last semi-final. The Baltics and Sweden will also continue their shows, and Poland and Malta even pick their songs for Kiev. So stay tuned to ESC Daily and make sure you miss nothing.